welcome to this week's episode of Guitar Tone Tuesday. I'm here again with my friend George, and a little while ago on the show, we featured a 1926 Gibson L1 flat top, and this is a 1916?
16, yeah.
16, so 10 years earlier, Gibson L1 Arch top. So the first generations of L1s were produced from 1902 until about 1925, I believe, and this is one of those guitars. So it's a small body guitar, just like the flat top that we featured, but this one is an arch top with a sound hole. So why don't you tell me a bit of the history of this guitar, George?
So this guitar came on the heels of the previous, the L1 flat top, and I'd become passionate about the other guitar for all the reasons, and primarily its playability. And I wanted to see if I could find an appropriate case for it, because it is a unique shaped instrument, so I couldn't readily find a case without spending several $1,000s on something custom. So Mike Anderson, who used to have a guitar shop down the road from us in Iroquois, was moving away, and he listed a bunch of his stuff for sale, and there he had listed an L1 guitar case.
Wow. And
so Karen and I got in the car and went down there, and I knew it wasn't going to be free. Mike's a smart guy; he knew what he had, and and I took the L1 with me to see if it's going to fit in the case. And he brings out the case and he opens it up, and it's not just a case. This is in it, so it's the original case for this guitar.
Wow.
When we looked in the case, though, it was stripped to bare wood. There were no tuners, there were no frets, there was no tailpiece, pickguard, or anything, and it was stripped and sanded to bare wood.
Wow.
Which is terrifying. Why would someone do that to a guitar? Well, because something worse had happened to it previously. It had been painted blue and orange. So for, guess, I don't know, a high school band or what have you, we don't know.
Right.
So, and of course, I took the flat top and said, well, let's see if it even fits in the case to see if it becomes useful. And that was the most interesting moment, is the flat top snugged into the case flawlessly. So the flat top and the arch top were built in, if not the same mold, like it was an identical shape mold, which was really interesting and surprising.
It feels so similar, actually.
Yeah,
it's very
well,
strange.
It is identical in depth and shape and everything. Just the front and the top and the back are different.
Mm-hmm.
So because I don't go guitar shopping without Karen there, because you just don't want to come home with a guitar that is a surprise. So had permission, got it right then and there.
Wow.
I should have gone and got my mandolin for this interview, shouldn't I have? Why I was so excited about it, because I also have a 1918 A1 mandolin.
All right, so George, you got your A1 mandolin here.
Yeah, so we were just talking about, and we cut and come back. Good work, Megan. So what we were talking about was I just found this arch top in the case that I was buying for the L1 flat top, and so it was stripped bare. And the thrill of it for me was, this is my real pride and joy, my 1918 L1 mandolin.
Wow. And
right down to the double herringbone banding around the sound hole on both of these, and even the fact that two guitars of the same vintage that have sound holes, both of these types, as opposed to you would expect F-holes on both of these instruments. So it became exciting for me to see if we could put this guitar back together and it would become useful. My big concern, it had been stripped, sanded, and is the wood too thin in one spot to what have you, and the neck had been tremendously thin by someone at a previous point in life. So I started into it, accepted that the guitar was too special, too rare an instrument for me to, hey, let's learn how to finish a guitar. So I, after a lot of badgering, beat up my buddy Ted Brown, of Blackwood Guitars up in Malarytown. We got to get you out there to do one of these in his shop for sure.
Yeah, I'd love to.
And Ted took on the task of refretting it, installing the tuners. I looked after the tailpiece. I found the tortoise shell and hand carved the pick guard for it. But most importantly, Ted did a French polish. on it.
It feels great.
It
feels
it's
great.
It's just so smooth.
It's so smooth.
And we did it in the same colors. We did the oxblood on the back and sides, and left the top the natural spruce. So they just these are, and I've got to say it out loud. I'm not entirely passionate about that instrument,
Right.
and as we've talked about it, the reason is it sounds gorgeous out front.
Right.
To the player, it doesn't have the same sound behind the instrument as it does out front, and that makes it a little bit funny to play.
Yeah, like behind it, it does sound a little thin. I mean, as arch tops do, but for certain styles of playing, for kind of jazzy. It's got a certain sound, right?
Yeah, that's the sound for that guitar. Same as the flat top, right? People say, "Oh my God, that guitar is perfect for playing the blues." It's
Right.
no, the blues were created on that guitar,
Right.
And it's not dissimilar because the arch top was created because as bands got louder and people wanted guitars in the band pre-amplification,
Right.
the arch top was intended to punch more sound out.
Yeah, and they were often kind of doing like this kind of stuff. Like behind the orchestra, like you can hear like Freddie Green, did that kind of stuff.
Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. That's
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
essence of it.
Yeah, that whole stuff, and I love that sound. I for myself as a player, I'm kind of with you on that. Like, I often, my tendency is to want to pick up a steel string acoustic, even if I want to play that style of jazz and kind of do the Django thing or something kind of like that, as opposed to the kind of Freddie Green thing, although I love it. I love listening to it, But yeah, you're right. Behind the instrument, it's different, right? And my tendency is to want to put a pickup in a guitar like this, for the sake of amplifying it a bit more and getting more low end from it or whatever. But there is a beauty to this, though.
Yeah, there's a beauty, and I've put a lot of thought. Can I, because the hole at the tailpiece is too thin for a pickup.
Right.
If I can thin down the pickup on a pair of K&K minis without defacing the instrument itself. Probably at some point I'm gonna. But on stage, these are what I take for my solo gigs.
Right.
And a pair of Rhodes
right.
in front, and use that as the pickup.
Yeah, I mean, it could also be interesting, like a sound hole pickup, like that you could kind of put in temporarily. Although that would be tough with this pickguard, I guess. But
yeah.
But what a cool instrument! What a cool instrument! So thank you so much for sharing. And that mandolin, that's very cool as well. That's a really interesting.
Yep, it's this one I coveted in a shop. North of Toronto. He had it overpriced. It sat there for 3 or 4 years until I saved up enough.
Wow!
And thankfully, when I had it was still there, and I just grabbed it. It's not tuned, so I'm not going to do anything with it. But
right.
Yeah, it's the mandolin. It's
right.
it's you can have your F style mandolin all you want. Give me the teardrop. Give me the A style.
I'm into the A style too. That's what I have, and I have an Eastman, so nothing like that. But and there's something to mandolins as they get older. They just get a little darker. They kind of lose their high end, just like a guitar too.
Yep.
And then they just sound so much bigger, as they get older.
Yeah,
so,
this thing has a big sound.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and it's a great pleasure again. Great
Thank you.
Pleasure. So yeah, we will see everybody again very soon. Thanks so much for watching.